recently I actually got cut with a skate blade, and I went into the doctor and I had to get some stitches. It was fine. But anyways, what happened is the doctor goes, the questions the doctor asked me was, what happened? How does this feel? What were you doing then? When this happened, what did you feel? Where did it occur? They were asking me questions that were allowing the doctor to translate all kinds of information so that they can get a good understanding. And if you start to think about that, what you're doing, the doctor's doing is they're diagnosing. And that piece a lot of times is missed by a lot of salespeople. And let's consider the types of questions that they ask. They ask questions like what and how. They don't ask why. So, sorry, Joe, if I can say one more thing to you, if I can ask you one last question. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So if I was to ask you this, Joe, and say, hey, Joe, why did you wear that shirt today? What's your immediate reaction?
Yeah.
Is it
like what's my reaction to the question, or what's my answer to the question?
What's your reaction? Do you feel like it's a good question, or do you become
it feels a little like, why are you judging my shirt, Carl?
Exactly. So the second part of it is like, if I was to say, hey, Joe, that's a great shirt. How come you chose that one today?
Yeah, it puts me more at peace. I feel like having a conversation.
That's right. And that's the notion here. Thank you very much. So that's the whole notion of it, is why questions are accusational by nature. Because I'm asking you, why didn't you do this? And you think of it as a parent. Why did you do that? This first question parents ask is, why did you do that? And kids go, I don't know. However, if you think about it from a sales context, if you start asking them, hey, what is it the solutions are going to do? Hey, how would we get this done? If you start to ask what and how questions, it provokes and drives engagement and conversation. If you ask why questions, it's going to put up a wall. Now, why questions can be they can be leveraged. In that diagnosis stage, though, what and how questions are going to be the best ones, because ultimately what you're doing is you're taking them through some sort of funnel, right? Tell me more about this. Can you give me an example? How long has it been a problem? What have you tried to do? If you remove that why question, you'll get so much more information, because ultimately what you're trying to do is do that diagnosis. Because the next part of it, your prescription, is a demo. Now, here's what a demo is not. A demo is not context, it is not content. It is context. The demo is the output of everything that you have just learned from that customer, and you're trying to explain to them how you're going to make their life, their world, their situation better by using what it is that you have. A demo is not, let me hit play. I'm going to take you 23 minutes through this, and if you have any questions, just stop me. A demo is not, let me show you everything about everything as part of this. The demo is the output of the questions and the insights that you learn to show the customer that, one, you're paying attention, two, you can solve their problem, and three, you can make their life better. And if you can do all of those things collectively, that will translate into a higher win percentage for you and a much happier customer, because you're going to be able to uncover a lot of their challenges, and you're trying to take that context that you learned and use the content of your demo to bring it together so that you're able to hit a home run with your customers. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you can't make your customer look like a hero, it's going to be a hard sale. So in practice, if I could give you 3 things to walk away from at the end of today's session: act like a doctor patient, ask those what and how questions, alleviate and remove the why questions. And if you consider whatever you're doing, if you have one tomorrow, think about the demo that you're doing. It's an output. It's not the destination. It is an output, not the destination. The demo is not where the deal ends. It is just a piece as part of your demo, as part of the entire sale and the destination. So if I leave you with one key takeaway: in sales, as in medicine, a prescription before diagnosis is a mistake in the arts. Make sure that you're asking very good questions. Make sure that you're diagnosing what that problem statement is before you start to give them a prescription. Because if you just try to prescribe without understanding, it's going to be really hard. So I know it was 10 minutes. Joe, how did I do for timing?
You're doing great. Yeah, let's. I have a couple comments real quick to talk about, and then we can wrap up. But look, this is like now we're in like 200 level or 300 level sales courses here, right? Now we've established, of course, we need to be asking the right questions, but now we're talking about removing certain verbiage from your questions to avoid that kind of contentious stance that you potentially get from your prospects. And so I'm curious because, like, look, how many times have I had a prospect that was just like, yes, no, I don't, like those type of one word answers. You feel like you're banging your head on the wall, but maybe it's because I'm positioning the question wrong, right? I'm curious how you've seen that like develop for yourself in your sales career. Was there a light bulb moment where you were like, I'm shooting myself in the foot here and I didn't realize it?
Yeah. So the question that typically shows up is this one. Hey, Joe, does this make sense? Hey, Joe, does that make sense? Yeah. If you're in a room of a bunch of people, what are they going to say? Actually, you know what, Karl, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I don't know why we're here. Whatever you just said makes no sense. What they're going to do is go, yeah, that's fine, because they're just going to try to move on as part of their day. Versus if you shift that context, again, the context of the word or even the makeup of that question and say, hey, Joe, we talked about X, Y, and Z. What I showed here would translate to one of those things. How could you see yourself using this? Is this hitting the mark? And does this allow you to remove X, Y, or Z off your plate so that you can do these other things?
Right.
It's the makeup of the question. So for me personally, it was that aha and actually I had a coach say to me, he said, hey, you know what are you expecting out of that answer? Yeah, I was like, I don't know, because I saw other people do it. Hey, does that make sense? Yeah, fine, it makes sense. Yeah. But the question was like, what did you want from that question? What are you trying to get out of it? So if you think about your questions as being, there's a question under a question. There's always a question under the question. I'm going to ask you a question, but there's one that's underneath of it that's I'm trying to get to. So determine your questions in that step and think of it as the layers.
Yeah, I think is a great way to think about it. You've got to be smart about what you're asking and not just throwing stuff over the fence. So I love the approach. Karl, we are up against time. I think everyone wants to jump over to see Armando's closing remarks on stage 1. So thank you for the time. It's been a wonderful presentation, and hope we can connect soon.
Thanks so much, Joe. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. And for everyone else, like I mentioned, if you want to jump over to stage 1 so we can watch the final closing remarks, that would be great. Thanks for sticking with me on our sales track, and have a great day.